judge has given the order by Ekine that in 7 days, the federal government, through the price control body, should ensure that they fix the price of commodities in Nigeria. First, a lot of us were not even aware that we have a body that is meant to control prices. But now Falana has been able to pull this up and expose it that these people exist and they've not been doing their job. Now that the judge has said, Justice Louis Alago has said, listen, in 7 days, get this fixed. Do you think this is going to go anywhere?
Yes, Vivien. Is it a lot of legislations that exist in this country that were actually intended to improve the well-being and welfare of citizens? But it does appear that we have deliberately decided to only be aware and stay awake to issues about politics and almost everybody will reference the electoral act, electoral law, and apart from the Price Control Act, there is the Weights and Measures Act. And then the Weights and Measures Act is also within the same objective area of regulating prices, and then the measures of commodities in such a way that you don't arbitrarily fix prices for certain commodities, particularly consumable commodities in the market. Now, I commend Femi Falana, the chairman of the board of trustees of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, a worthy senior advocate of Nigeria, and then taking out public interest actions. I think that if more of these kind of actions are taken out, it really will put a check on the government. But you asked a fundamental question. Now, an order has been made by Honorable Justice Abagua, and then 7 days, of course, all the prayers on the motion paper being answered and granted, but there was no response from the respondents. But what would happen? What if these prices are not regulated and then the board didn't respond to it? What can people do? What can Femi Falana do? Is it just going to be about contempt, or are we actually going to be able to enforce to ensure that these commodities are actually regulated? And like I mentioned, the Weights and Measures Act. Vivien, let me explain this so that we even understand. Do you know that right now in Nigerian markets, and one of the few countries in this world that you could just walk into the market and say you want a beef, for instance, you want meat, you want fish, and then the man or the woman who sells will, out of what he or she feels, should be the quantity of what they should cut for you for the amount of money you want to buy. That's a crazy society where things are not measured and controlled. So and then the meat seller asks you how much meat you want to buy. Say you want 5,000 naira meat. So he begins to cut. It's out of his own mind. When he cuts and he feels that this is enough for 5,000 naira, he gives you for 5,000 naira. You begin to argue, no, it's small now, add small and all of that. Such is society. Now, what the Weights and Measures Act required would have been there should have been an established rate, an amount to a kilogram of meat. Everybody who sells meat in any market, other people who sell, you go to the market, you sell and buy meat in ways. So if a kilogram of meat is 5,000 naira, it is 5,000 naira everywhere in that society. And then nobody is being cheated, and then it's regulated. If there is any reason that price differentials or anything about increase in price will arise, everybody would know. Right now we use our palm. Look, just as primitive as the other day, I don't know, before modern era. You cut meat and then you use your palm to weigh it. You weigh it, you use it up like this. If you feel heavy enough, you say it's 2,000, 5,000. That's not what it means. So the Weights and Measures Act that require that you register the instrument measure with the appropriate agency of government. At some point in this stage, we reviewed the Weights and Measures Act. I wanted to implement it here. When I recall that I worked special assistant to the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry in the state at the point. And then when we brought that up, we had to have markets, union, and leadership come to the ministry where we provided some enlightenment and education to them. And they needed to see that all traders in market come. So that it is the authority, the relevant authority that will produce these measures. So that if there is an acceptable cup of Gary we used to measure gari or measure rice. It is produced by the appropriate ministry. Then it is regulated, it is marked, and you procure it from the ministry, and that's what everybody must do to measure that rice in the market. And then a price is fixed to it. So any market you go, it is about this time you go to the market and the same, you see blue band as a cup for measure. You imagine whether one blue band is bigger than the other, because somebody may have tinkered at the back, the bottom of a blue band cup, and then hit it in just to probably, surcharge or in any way manipulate the process, and that would have been a crime. Because any attempt to also subvert the provisions of the Means and Measures Act and even this Price Control Act would be a crime. So, for this society today, we've abandoned all of those legislations that will enhance the welfare of citizens and regulate pricing. But we forgot that the most important aspects of any economy is actually production and consumption. What else are we doing? And when the economy is not producing what the economy needs most, and that's the reality today in Nigeria,